Hi, everybody. Good evening, and welcome, of course, to the PEN America Literary Gala. It is great to see you. You look wonderful from up here. Hey, here's a little story I call The Metamorphosis. Ready? On January 21st of this year, I woke up from restless dreams to find myself transformed into a hideous vermin. Actually, what had happened was that the day before, Donald Trump was inaugurated and declared by executive order that after 2.5 decades, I was back to being a man again. Oh my God. First time in 25 years I didn't have to ask for directions when I got lost. Although, you know who was hardest on? My wife, Dee Dee. Hi, Dee Dee. That's my wife, Dee Dee. Married 36 years. 24 as wife and wife, 12 as husband and wife. Anyway, after all this time, she's back in a heterosexual marriage. I mean, I just feel so bad for her. Like, what are the neighbors going to say? Well, this whole spring, I've been living in the crosshairs of the Trump administration's governing philosophy, namely, the idea that you can make things you don't like disappear by covering your eyes and pretending that they don't exist. I call it the peekaboo baby philosophy of governing. You know, like when your kids were little and you'd cover your eyes and go, "Where's the baby? There he is. Where's the president? There he is." Okay, but guess what? There are still transgender people in this country, and we are real. And there are queer and non-binary people in this country, and they are real. There are people of color in this country, and they are real. There is a history of slavery and racism in this country, and it is real. There are immigrants in this country, and the children of immigrants, and we are real. Every last soul in America is real. No one can be erased just because others close their eyes, or worse, attempt to ban the books that contain stories about our lives. I think, to be fair, all of us, actually, have been struggling with some version of the metamorphosis this year as we watched our country transform before our eyes. But as writers, we also know that the most important part of our work is not the first draft, but the revision. And so, I can tell you plain, Donald Trump will not be the author of the final draft of this country. No, sir. That's our job, the job of novelists and poets and translators and playwrights and publishers and songwriters, thank you, Paul Simon, and above all, readers. But in order for writers to create a better draft of this country, we need to know PEN America has our back. It is a solitary business, writing, most of the time. We work alone with no one to turn to for counsel except the voices inside our heads. But standing up for the freedom to write, protecting the freedom to express yourself, and to make art, that's a task that we can only do together. Which, again, is why we at PEN America are so grateful to all of you for being here tonight in this beautiful room beneath this beautiful giant whale. Let's take one more moment to celebrate some more people who made this evening happen. The co-chairs, Colette Bennett, Dinah Mengestu, and Jody Picot. Hello, Jody. My co-author, Jody. And our honorary chairs, Marcus Dole and Anya Salama, and our secret weapon, Roxanne Donovan, also known as Batgirl. And on a personal note, I want to thank a guest at my table tonight, the governor of my home state of Maine, the Right Honorable Governor Janet Mills. She said that she would see him in court, and she did. And after she won the first round in court, the administration, guess what? Backed down. What a surprise. And what did they do? They resumed funding free meals to Maine's school kids. Thanks, Governor. The governor of Maine is also an author. Did you know that? True. The first time I ever met you, Janet, in fact, was in a bookstore in Farmington, Maine. Okay, so do you know this poem by Langston Hughes, Let America Be America Again? Let it be the dream it used to be. You probably know that poem. This is how it ends. Sure, call me any ugly name you choose. The steel of freedom does not stain from those who live like leeches on the people's lives. We must take our land back again. America, oh yes, I say it plain, America never was America to me. And yet I swear this oath, America will be. Surely all of us want to create a country like the one described in Langston Hughes' poem, a country in which America is the place we dream it might become. But I also admit that there are times when, with apologies to both Langston Hughes as well as Fleetwood Mac, I get tired of thinking about tomorrow. I get tired of waiting and dreaming. There are times when what I long for, in fact, is to wake up. I want to wake up, for instance, in a country where the cadets of the U.S. Naval Academy and West Point, our future officers and diplomats, are exposed to a wide range of ideas, including those that they might disagree with, in hopes that the universe of literature and story will encourage them to embrace the power of the imagination. I want to wake up in a country in which professors at institutions of higher learning, from Harvard to Wesleyan to Bob Jones University, are free to teach ideas that will make their students' hearts and minds larger, not smaller. I want to wake up. I want to wake up in a country in which it is possible to criticize the Israeli government without being called anti-Semitic. I want to wake up in a country in which it is possible to condemn Hamas without being called anti-Palestinian. I want to wake up in a country in which dissent is just another form of patriotism, a country in which criticism of our government is something we engage in, not because we hate America, but because with all of our hearts, we love it. Above all, I want to wake up in a country in which we are governed by the rule of law, rather than the whims of, well, you know, a giant whale. Hang on for a second. My father, a Republican if ever there was one, used to have a ritual at the end of our Thanksgiving meals. He'd provoke us to debate whatever the issues of the day were, from the Nixon pardon to the Equal Rights Amendment. And then at a certain point, he'd ding his fork against his wine glass. And he'd say, all right now, everybody argue the opposite, which we had to do. It was by trying, and now I have this fork which I can use as a prop. It was only by trying to faithfully articulate the opinions of people with whom I disagreed that I developed what Edmund Burke called the moral imagination. That is, the ability to do what Atticus commands Scout to do, and walk a mile in someone else's shoes. So, will you do this with me right now? Take your fork, or knife if you prefer. It's actually louder with a knife. Ding it against the side of your glass. Let's make this whole freaking room ring. Ready? Oh, I love that. You hear that? That is the sound of all of us embracing the promise of the First Amendment. This is the sound of artists and readers waking up and getting on with our own next draft, one in which, with hope and faith, we can make America, America again. Yeah. So thanks to all of you. I also want to just do a quick shout out to our interim CEOs, a special love buckets of love to Summer Lopez and Clarice Sharif. Can you guys stand up for a second? For the last almost year, Summer and Clarice have led us through hard times and led us toward what I hope will be a better future. Love you guys a lot. I thank you so much, and I love all of you. PEN America is grateful for all of your support, for your imagination, and for your love. Thanks, everybody.